Ugh. Gosh, how long have I been out? Oh my god! I have to say that I'm more than a little late on this video, but let's get started regardless. Garnet is a semi-precious, usually red-colored stone, but what really are they? Hi, I'm Sam, and I'm not a gemologist, but I'm an artist that really likes gemstones, so let's talk about garnet. Use of garnets by humans was thought to be back around in the Bronze Age, as they were found a lot in Czech graves. Garnets are a silicate mineral, but calling it one stone is a little misleading, as garnets make up more of a group, having silicates in common but different materials as well to differentiate them. Going along with that, garnets come in a variety of different colors and names. Almandine garnets are the most common. They're the brown, red, purpley red type that is usually found. They contain iron and aluminum that make up their color for them, and they also have a property of being one of the hardest garnets that there is. Next are going to be pyrope garnets, which contain magnesium and aluminum. They can range from being colorless to pink and reds from more iron in their contents. Rhodolite is another variation, which is actually a mixture of pyrope and almandine. They can be kind of a rose red, but are slightly more purple. These are actually going to be the garnets that I'm using for my piece here. Spessartite or spessartine garnets, I've heard it said both ways, contain manganese and aluminum. They can range from a yellow to orangey to red-purple, and they are very, very brilliant and often called mandarin garnets. Malaya garnets are a relatively new addition to the family. They are yellowish, red, orange, brown, and pink. They're a mixture of pyrope and spessartine, and they are very pretty. Color change garnets are also a variety of pyrope and spessartine. They exhibit pleochroism, which is changing colors based in different light. Blue-green in daylight and purple-red in incandescent. They contain traces of vanadium and chromium and are often mistaken as alexandrites. Grossular garnets contain calcium and aluminum. They vary greatly with their color. The more pure ones are colorless, but they also are orange, sometimes pink, and then even yellow and brown. Tsavorite garnets are a variety of grossular garnets that have vanadium inside them, which makes them green. Hessonite garnets are another grossular garnet that has manganese and iron, turning it yellow-orange to red-orange, and it's actually the one that was the big one in the center at the beginning of this video. Andradite garnets contain iron and calcium. They're loved for their brilliance and compared to diamonds in that way. They also have a great variety of colors from yellow, green to red, orange, and even black. Topazolite is the andradite garnet that is yellow to orange in color. An incredibly beloved variety of andradite garnets are called demantoid, which exhibit a beautiful green to yellow-green from included chromium inside. And last but not least, there's also another green garnet called uvarovite, which is incredibly rare and contains calcium and chromium. There are also some varieties of garnets that have asterism. These are called star garnets and have a star effect on them when a light is shown on them directly. Garnets are a very common stone, which are found in many places. Some of the largest suppliers are the United States, Russia, Australia, China, India, and Turkey. They are mostly untreated, though sometimes almandine are heat-treated to show off more of their colors. Now that we've met our many friends of garnets, let's get on to the properties of them. These beautiful stones form mainly in metamorphic rocks in high pressure and temperature. They are isostructural, meaning they are all the same crystal structure. They take a cube or a dodecahedron, 12-sided shape, in their raw look. Since there are so many, they can have some variety in their properties. Their refractive index is usually from 1.71 to 1.89. These stones have a vitreous or glassy luster, and some of them that have a higher refraction have dispersion, which creates a fire effect of different colors in the reflections of the stone. As mentioned before, they have pleochroism, mostly in the color change garnets, and chatayency, which gives a cat's eye or even asterism in the stone. The varieties of garnets range from 3.4 to 4.3 times heavier in their specific gravity, depending on the stone, and they can vary from 6.5 to 7.5 on the Mohs hardness scale. They have a conchoidal or seashell-like fracture when they break, but they don't break any certain way, they kind of break indistinctly. Garnets, thankfully, tend to be a pretty tough stone to break, though it's not impossible. Since they are so common, it is a stone that you see used a lot, and wearing it, of course, does subject it to a lot of wear, especially depending on how harsh the person is with it. I have seen many a broken garnet. Rest in peace, my friends. Garnets are another stone that is subject to many different shapes of cuts, or even fantasy cuts, which are going to be not like your usual, round princess or even emerald cut. To untrained eyes, red garnets can be mistaken as rubies, but since they don't fluoresce, it's easy to tell that apart with certain tools. Green garnets, like savorites, may be mistaken as emeralds or other green stones. The orange or spessartine garnets can be mistaken as zircon or other garnets. As previously mentioned, color change garnets are often mistaken as alexandrites, which have very similar color and even color change in incandescent and daylight. Synthetic garnets can be made. While usually the red ones are pretty inexpensive and probably don't need them, more expensive ones like the color change garnets are fairly common for synthetics. Sometimes the pyrope garnets can be marketed as rubies. Examples of this are Arizona ruby, Cape ruby, Ely ruby, and Fashoda rubies. So keep a keen eye on this while purchasing for yourself. As for how we use garnets in our day-to-day life, they're used mostly for abrasive substances and even water filtration. They're also very helpful in geological history to help find indications of metamorphic conditions. There's even the really fun example of anthill garnets, which are usually found in Arizona. This is where ants will dig in metamorphic conditions, and once they come across a garnet, they will take it up and drop it out of their anthill like the funky little guys that they are, and just leave them at the surface for anyone to find. Garnet comes from the Latin word granitium or granatus, meaning pomegranate. The original name for a garnet was granite, actually. Since it's associated with pomegranates, it is also associated with Hades and Persephone, which was the inspiration for this illustration. Garnet is the birthstone of January. It's associated with health and good fortune, sometimes called gem of faith, truth, and constancy, where when wearing the stone, your good and bad deeds would affect your luck. Garnets were used for quite a lot of things in ancient times, mostly as warding talisman, offerings, and decorative items. Garnets were a treasured gemstone, used for beads by Egyptians, Sumerians, Swedes, and the Greeks. The Aztecs and Native Americans would also use garnets as ornaments. Really, it is a beautiful and absolutely worldwide stone. Garnets were even believed to have been carved and used as bullets by Asiatic tribes like the Hunzas, which is now where Pakistan is located. They thought that the red stone would be more deadly than their lead counterparts. Ancient healers sometimes put garnets inside of wounds, believing that it would aid in the healing process. A lot of red stones were thought to heal hemorrhages and inflammatory problems. Warriors would also use talisman embedded with garnets to give them luck and safety, connecting it to being called a stone of health. Ancient Egyptians used the stone as a symbol of life and offering to honor Sekhmet, the goddess of war. Garnets are believed to ward away melancholy, and I get it. They are one of my favorite gemstones with their beautiful hues and comforting sparkles. Now that I've finished talking about garnets themselves, let's finish up talking about this piece. I mentioned earlier that I used the Greek mythology story of Hades and Persephone as a little bit of inspiration. I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a close-up of basically Persephone just getting these pomegranate seeds, which I used the garnets for, and just kind of focusing on doing something a little bit different, a little fun, less of a background, but more maybe dramatic, and I had a lot of fun doing that. I also played with a lot of different materials with this piece. I ended up finding this wax that is supposed to help protect like watercolor paintings. I think it made my painting a little bit more dull than it would have been if I had just kind of left it alone, but I still like how it turned out in the end. There's a lot of fun things going around with her, and I think I used a less is more kind of approach with the garnets rather than some of my other pieces that I've done with this series. Also, for people who have never tried to pick up little tiny gemstones with tweezers, try. It's hard. It takes a long time to get used to. I also found this little glue applicator. I don't know how good the glue is compared to the Mod Podge that I usually use, but it is so much easier to apply. This is where I have to pick up a bunch of little tiny garnets, all really delicate, and make sure that, you know, I don't go too awry with it. Oh, that one tried to run away from me. A good tip to, you know, do this if you're ever planning to, is to lay out where you want all of your stones to be first and then start gluing them. That way you have a little bit more time to figure out what you want to do, where you want to put them and everything like that. And then after you glue them and put them down, make sure that you kind of press them all a few times just to make sure that they are in fact sticking down there. And that's the finished piece. I had a lot of fun with this one, even though I was extremely late. Thanks so much for watching. If you like it, then I hope you stick around for some of the other ones I'll be doing, and I will do my best to actually get them on time. Anyways, have a great day, y'all. Bye.